Hey, what's up, y'all? This is Roecho from Medical Mondays. We just smoked up the airwaves with DroTV. Make sure you tune in, like, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Welcome back to My First Time, the show where our guests get to tell their story of the first time they got high on marijuana. Today, I'd like to welcome our guest, Roech from Medical Mondays. What's happening?
Hey, what's up, y'all? How you doing?
I'm
Great to
doing
be
well,
here,
my
man.
friend. Yeah, thanks for coming on DroTV. You can find more of Roech on Instagram, Facebook, and of course, YouTube with Medical Mondays. So, Roech, tell everyone where you're located and a little bit about what you got going on in the cannabis community.
Oh man, first of all, glad to be here. Thanks for having me on. I'm originally from Detroit, representing Michigan. Uh, been a smoker for the majority, well, for my entire adult life. And I got involved with Medical Mondays, and it's definitely become a passion.
Nice. Yeah, you guys are putting up some numbers, viewers wise, subscriber wise. So it's great to see you guys growing and keeping something going consistently. So, Roach, the show is my first time. We want to know about the first time you got high and maybe even the first time you smoked. Maybe there's a
All
good
right,
story.
so let's get into it, man. And like, most people, the first time I smoked, I didn't get high, but they're still both funny stories.
Okay.
So, my mom, when I was growing up, she had the kind of job where she would be out of town for months at a time. Um, I was like maybe 13, and I was doing my own laundry. Well, I was doing the laundry, I should say, and going through the clothes, like the TV joint fucking fell out of something. And
Okay.
I was like, so I immediately, I pocketed it, and I had it for, man, probably like about 3 weeks. It was until like my mom went out of town again. And I was really fucking nervous. I believed all the hype. Um, I was at home alone, but I decided to go on a walk. So if anything happened to me, people would find me.
Okay.
Because I was home alone. My mom wasn't gonna be back for like a week or so, and I'll be fucked up in the house. So, big to do, hyped myself up, whole thing, went for this walk, smoked this joint, and nothing. I just, overcame my fear. It was really the experience. But it was a little bit later um in the year, I'll say like towards the end of summer. I was coming home from work. I was like stock boy at the corner store. It was like 11 o'clock at night, and like all my homies were like hanging out in the park, smoking out. And I was like the youngest, but like I'm kind of a big guy. So even though I was young, like the older fellas gave me respect and all of that. And like, they were like, "Oh, hey, come on, Roach," because like they've been calling me Roach since I was a kid.
Okay.
"Hey, Roach, come on, come on." And someone's like, "Ah, man, don't let him hit it. Fuck that guy. He's just a kid." Blah blah blah. And I had already smoked this joint, and it had no effect on me. So I was like, I'm gonna impress these guys, man. And I started smoking with them, and like they put me under the table, man. It took me, like, it was my corner store, and the walk usually took me like 6 minutes. It took me like an hour and a half, man. I was slumped at the park, fucked up, and like I fell in love. What can I say?
Nice. You still in contact with any of those guys?
Uh Unfortunately not, man. Some of them are no longer with us. Like the guy who taught me how to roll a blunt for the first time, no longer with us. A lot of those guys, yeah, they didn't make it past certain levels of life, man.
Yeah.
I luckily made it to get this salt and pepper beard. I'm so proud of it. A lot of my homies didn't.
Yeah, yeah, unfortunately. Um, So you call yourself the blunt surgeon general. Is that your thing? Blunts? Is that your go-to?
Well, yeah, like I prefer the backwoods, you know what
Okay.
I'm saying? That's my thing, but like I also roll joints, like anything. Like, okay, so this is a funny story too. So now I'm like 14. I've maybe smoked a half ounce total in my life, right? And my girlfriend was a cheerleader from the suburbs. And like these girls were older than me, like they had driver's license, they were in high school, I was still in middle school. But the advantage that I had was I was from Detroit, so
Okay.
that was like super cool to them. And I was hanging out, and they were doing like they were like official cheerleaders, like they went to competitions and all kinds of shit. And I was hanging out with them, and they were doing practice, and they were like, "Hey, do you know how to roll?" And I was like, "Yeah, I know how to roll." And they went and practiced, and I rolled up this joint. I didn't really break it up. I kind of arranged buds in a cylindrical fashion. Like, this is early 90s. So like there's the seeds, stems, all kind of shit in there. I rolled a cannon, but like as soon as I fucking lit it and hit it and the paper compressed, all the stems and shit fucking poked right through the paper. Like this, like a literal cheerleading squad laughed at me, bro, in a way that a man never wants to be laughed at by a woman.
Yeah.
And like it killed something inside of me. But I made my mind up that day. I was gonna be the rollingest motherfucker that ever rolled.
There you go.
And yeah, like I sat there, I taught myself. Like I said, I had a homie who taught me how to do the blunts. The backwood rolling is a whole nother thing. Like I really am enamored with the whole rolling and like procuring something that your friends or your significant other are going to partake in. I think it's kind of like art, kind of like religion.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was somebody that was one of few that could roll a blunt quickly. And so at certain parties, I was the go-to guy. I would always get the free weed or hop in on a cipher
Mhm.
because I could roll one up. So it definitely has its advantages. So
Yeah, no, like it. I mean, I've even like made money, rolling for people. Like, hey man, can you roll this ounce for me, bro? Like, I want to smoke all of them the way you roll them.
okay.
And it's been beneficial. It's definitely come in handy.
Is flour your main form of consumption?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like dabs are cool. Um, I prefer some rosin though. I'm not much of a BHO guy. Um, a lot of people think it's lame, but like I just hit the peak. Um, I'll throw some extracts in whatever I'm rolling up to. I'm not opposed to that. But yeah, like I don't know, man. There's nothing better than like rolling something up and taking some puffs. I don't know. It's just me.
I agree. I roll my own joints, and I've been rolling, smoking joints for a few years now. I was never a great joint roller either. I could roll blunts, but joints, I don't know. All of a sudden, I just picked it up a few years ago. So
Well, yeah, like I've actually like rolled some pretty impressive stuff, at least by my standards. Um, I don't know if you're familiar with Cheech and Chong. The Cheech and Chong album that like folded out and it
yeah,
turned into it was
big
like
ass
designed to
paper.
look like a pack of papers, and
Yeah,
inside was a 12-inch by 24-inch paper.
yeah, yeah.
And like, yeah, I totally hand skilled that in my teen years.
Nice.
So, like I said, man, if you need it rolled, I got you. We're gonna make it happen. Does it need to smoke? Because we're smoking.
And the biggest one I ever rolled was a half ounce, 14 grams. How much did you get into the Cheech and Chong? You remember?
We were just under a quarter pound.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say probably.
Yeah. interesting story there. I mean, I guess it's been longer than 10 years, so no prosecution, but like I grew up right down the street from like one of the oldest churches in Detroit, well, Catholic churches. And they would have CYO dances and whatnot. And I don't know if you've ever been to one of those or any kind of teenager school church dance. There's always that person, the chaperone that goes around and like takes everybody's cigarettes and joints and whatever, you're out there doing on the dance floor and, ruins all the fun. Well, the woman who was in charge of doing that at these dances was also like a personal friend to my little group of friends. So we would go to those dances and have fun. And then after that, we would go back to her house and chief out on all the shit that she confiscated and stuff. So it was a weird dynamic there, but like she wasn't all that much older than us, you know what I'm saying? She was married, had kids and all of that, but like she fucked with us heavy, man. And like I'm thankful that like I had people like that in my life because it kept me off the fucking streets doing dumb shit. Not that crime was necessarily an issue, but just being young in Detroit was dangerous back in the 90s. And
Yeah,
people providing like safe havens and I guess like kind of what the cannabis programs do in states now is like, give people a safe access and a community to enjoy yourself in.
yeah.
Yeah.
Michigan seems to have quite the community. We've interviewed Mr. Fungus, uh,
Mr. Fungi,
Mr.
Rick,
Fungi,
my boy.
the Fungi 420. Interviewed Berg, Chef Rodney from Deliciously Dope. And so I know there's like a big push for, is it the Weedsters, the Michigan Weedsters?
Well, I know Michigan Weedsters has their initiative, but really, man, it's across the state. You know what I'm saying? There's really like no excuse for no one to have their card. Um, on medical Mondays, we have like a list of sponsors, but we just name off different certification centers. You know what I'm saying? We don't even ask them. We just talk about them because it's important. People feel like they can't participate, they can't make it to rallies, they can't make it to meetings. They might not vote, they might not be able to get on Instagram and exchange information and be social. But there is one thing we can all do, and it's get your card and be a number. Like, that was always a bad thing growing up. Nobody wanted to be on a list, nobody wanted to be counted. But like the situation that we're in now, like we need to count, we need to stand up and show that we we matter. I mean, the cannabis community has done some tremendous like unprecedented things here when we all stand together. Like the when Whitmer signed dispensaries as what was it during the quarantine, what were they calling businesses? Essential
Oh
business.
yeah, an essential business. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that's because everybody stood up together. We recently had the boycott here for like a lot of these MSOs and corporate cannabis that definitely doesn't have patients and rec users' best interests in mind. They're really just trying to put some bullshit out there and call it weed and you're going to buy it, bottom line. And I don't think that that's not a fair way to present cannabis to people at all.
Hey everybody, I want to quickly mention Food Forest Abundance. Food Forest Abundance is a great way to create your own self-sustaining food forest and naturally occurring ecosystem that's commonly found in nature, but designed specifically for you. Through multiple layers of trees, shrubs, herbs, vines, rhizomes, mushrooms, and perennial vegetables, you can become your own supply chain without the typical maintenance required of a garden. From small spaces to large areas, both urban and suburban, Food Forest Abundance wants us to get back to our roots in nature by engaging with our food production in a meaningful way. For more information, click on the link in the description below and start your journey today. Okay, let's get back to today's episode.
What you smoking on?
Right now, this is some Pink Runts. It's one of the Medical Monday sponsors, Chronic
Nice.
Illusions.
Oh, there you go.
Filter's eating up the sticker, but yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, we're still trying to get it on the ballot for rec. I think it might be on the ballot in 2023 or 2024, but yeah, down here we just have medical. And I had someone recently, we were at an event, and they worked with getting patients, well, getting you your medical card, and so she asked if I had my card, and I said, well, you know, the way the system's designed, I got to pay $150, $100 for the appointment, $150 for the card. That might save me some money at the dispensary, but I have friends that grow, and they grow dispensary level bud. So
Yeah.
I said, and she tried to say, well, this is, you know, we need more people that have their cards because it opens up, you know, benefits for other people. And I said, I understand that, but I don't need a dispensary. And she was trying to convince me that I should go pay the $250 to get the card because it would benefit somebody else. And I just politely, you know, listen, if you're going to put up the $250, I'll go get the card. But
Yeah.
you know, my problem is the system, at least here in this state. And when I was in Massachusetts, it was a lot of, you know, political scratch my back, I'll scratch your back. You know, everything was done with intentions for the corporations, the big dispensaries. It wasn't for you and I to be able to grow in my own home, me to be able to grow and just give it to you or roll it for you or whatever, right? That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about the big corporations and who's going to get licenses.
Yeah, and no, and like, you know, I'm all about educating the consumer. You can't make an informed purchase if you're not educated in the first place. There's a lot of misinformation that's been like going for like the better part of a century now, you know, thanks to our buddy Henry Anslinger. But we're at a point now where we're starting to get research under our belt. There is like real tangible information and actual facts that we can use to make the case for medicinal cannabis and even recreational cannabis. But just because there's an initiative or something on the ballot that says cannabis does not mean that it's good. You know, there's bills and proposals that are like grassroots and from the people, like what we have here in Michigan. And then there's some that already have like the corporate, you know, little backpack built into the bill already. So like the people just never have a chance. I'm not going to call out any states, but you know, I felt much like you in the past about like, you know, like I always knew where to get some fire. Like the fuck do I need to get a card for? You know, like it tastes better when it's crime. But what made me vote and what I tell people is that like, yeah, you know, we'll always know, you know, we're plugged into that. But, you know, there's children, there's the parents of children, there's seniors, and they probably don't need to or want to go to the places I go to get that fire, you know, and they don't not going to go through the processes or know the people to even get there. You know what I'm saying? Because they're, you know, not going to lie, there's a lot of unsavory characters you got to go to before you meet somebody that you actually click with. You know what I'm saying? So for me, the program isn't like really for me, but it provides accessibility for my community. You know, I'm going to claim y'all. And it gives us the opportunity to not be criminals for something that shouldn't be criminal in the first place. So many things in this country, especially, you know, even now, There's controversy about its history. But one thing that's undisputable, and I think it's like the one thing that Malcolm and Martin missed in the civil rights movement, but like cannabis laws all originate in discrimination and racism. You know what I'm saying? Not against any one group in particular, even though there definitely was, that push, but everybody suffered from that. It kept us separate. Like we see what cannabis does. We see how it brings people together. People that wouldn't normally have a discussion sometimes become the best of friends.
Sure.
Uh, it's something about the plant that kind of dissolves all the divisive things that keep us separate and actually bring us closer and create that community. It's not that there's something special here in Michigan necessarily. I just think that the way our program was set up, since it was, since it did come from the people, it just naturally lends itself to bringing people together, doing things for people. I don't feel that there should be any. I mean, I don't think you can legislate a plant. First of all, you can't really legislate nature, because Mother Nature does what she wants to. And number two, there, there shouldn't be any laws about cannabis any more than there are about jogging or meditation or any other thing that people do to replenish their soul, their mind, and their energy, let alone the medical benefits that come along with it. Like, it's a win-win-win.
Yeah, it's silly. We're still talking about a plant and
At the end of the day, man.
the man restricting us. Yeah, it's weird down here too. We interviewed somebody, Cell. She goes by Chocolate Dipped Celery, but a few months back we interviewed her. I think it was just before the pandemic. She was pulled over down here in Florida. She didn't have her card on her. I'm sorry. The vape pen she had, she didn't have proof of where she bought it. She had her card on her. Because she didn't have proof, she got arrested, charged with a felony. So went through the whole expungement process, and so that was something that I didn't bring up when I was having this conversation with the woman who was trying to convince me to get my medical card. But it's one of those things where it's like, this person had a medical card, they still got arrested. Which is why I always push for full legalization. Forget decriminalization, we just move right towards legalization, because decriminalization, I still can't buy it. You can't sell it. We can just possess it and not get in trouble if we have less than some arbitrary amount that somebody came up with. So I think full legalization should be really the conversation.
It's a catch 22 there with me. I want to say cannabis was decriminalized in Detroit like a full 2 years before it went legal in the rest of Michigan. And I guess if the cops want to be dicks, they can be, but it just seemed like as soon as it was decriminalized in Detroit, even though there were, like, I think you could only have like 2.5 ounces and 14 grams of extracts maximum. But for the most part, like, the police just totally stopped caring about any amount of cannabis or anything cannabis related. A guy that I'm going to tell you, I don't know if this is a thing, but like, we should make it a thing. The next person I want you to interview for Michigan is a guy by the name of Chef Anawithapot.
Okay.
And that's my homie, bro. I love that guy. He has made videos like during the summer of 2020. when people were, protesting and marching around, he went out there and he's got like, the camera glasses, and he's marching, but with a fucking cannabis plant in his arms. And like he's a joker. He was trying to get cops to hold the plant for him while he tied his shoes. And like, man, like 7 out of the 10 cops had no problem smelling it. They checked it out and everything and gave it back to him and wished him a happy day, man. So I think, given the right circumstances, decriminalization is kind of the way to go, where there is no law. It's just like, don't go too far. Once you get to legalization, like I remember in Canada, prior to their legalization, there was 9 cannabis laws. Post legalization, there was 45 cannabis laws. So that kind of, is where it gets lost, because now there's like more ways that you can get in trouble for cannabis, even though it's legal. And that's the kind of stuff that I disagree with. But, you can't get grants, you can't get research without legalization either. So it is important. I think we just kind of got to thread the needle and keep our politicians and our politics in line. And the number one way to do that is to register and get that card, regardless of what state you're in. But if you're in Michigan, you better have a moving court. Facts.
No doubt. All right. Well, I'm considering it.
Oh, you still haven't got it, man?
No. I'm
Man, we got to get you together, bro. Like, seriously, the way the universe works. The company that I prefer to shout out, which is the company that I dealt with, is Detroit Certification Center. It's 100% online. They get you together. You send one payment to them. They disperse all the funds, log you in, and they just send you your login, and boom, you're a patient. They have just moved to Florida to start doing certifications there. That 250 does seem a little hefty, man. But if I know my people, like I think I know my people, man, we might be able to do something for you. Because if anybody needs to have their card and set the precedent, it's my man DroTV, bro.
all right. Okay. All right.
We're gonna get you together, man.
All right. I'm considering it. So,
Mm-hmm.
well, Roech, it's been a pleasure chatting with you. I'm looking forward to coming on Medical Mondays soon. Let everybody know the best place that they can follow you.
Oh man, I'm all over Instagram. Being that I do, I'm not gonna say that I talk shit for the sake of talking shit, but when people are doing things that go against the cannabis community standards, I'm pretty much there. And because of that, I have like 3 accounts, because like I get banned and blocked, and it's a whole thing. Some people have canceled their their cable bill just to follow Medical Mondays shenanigans online. But yeah, like I'm at Romeo underscore Roech with the E. I'm sure you guys can see right there. This one too, L.Roecho. And then I got another one that's Roech, but double R and double H. I'm on Facebook, Romeo Antonio. And of course, make sure you guys go to YouTube, subscribe, like, watch some shows. We're all over the place on Medical Mondays when it comes to the cannabis community. If there's anything related to cannabis that you thought that you wanted to know more about or were interested in, cross-reference Medical Mondays, that topic or a person, and we probably interviewed them.
Nice. And they've got a great channel, so all the links will be down below. You can go give Roech a follow, as well as subscribe to Medical Mondays on YouTube. And that's it for today. Make sure you go down and smash the like button here on YouTube and subscribe to DroTV so you don't miss more amazing guests like my man Roech here. And stay tuned for DroTV on Medical Mondays happening soon. And that's it for today's episode. As always, smoke them if you got them.